everyone. Good morning. How are you today? Me here is in a very great condition, and I hope you all there are in a very great condition as well. So, welcome to my class. Welcome to my subject, English Language Testing and Evaluation, known as ELTE. So, guys, like what we had discussed last week, that during the whole course we are going to discuss some topics related to testing, assessment and evaluation. So why is it important for us to learn that specific materials? Because all materials will be discussed in this course will um, enable us to become a good designer of kinds of tests, assessment, as well as to develop our teaching. So let's check further on some specific materials that we are going to discuss today. So, like what have been mentioned previously, that our very first meeting in this video, for today's meeting, we will be talking about these three terminology. It is testing, assessment, and teaching. So it is very important for us to understand very clearly about this specific notion, testing, assessment, and teaching, so that later in the future, we will be able to design appropriate test, assessment for improving our teaching. So before moving further to some views related to this testing, assessment, and teaching, so I would like to ask you guys, what is actually your feeling? Your feeling when you first hear to the word test or testing in classroom setting. So what do you think, guys? I believe some of you, probably not all, but it probably including me, always think that test, yeah, when we hear about the word test, our thought are not likely to be positive, isn't it? Our thought are not likely to be positive, pleasant, and affirming. So most of the time when we hear about the word test, we will feel negative, unpleasant, and also not affirming. Don't you feel the same? Probably not all of you. Some of you probably will not feel those kind of specific situation. So the anticipation of a test is almost always accompanied by the feeling of anxiety or self-doubt. However, we cannot deny that courses in tests seems as an unavoidable as tomorrow's sunrise in virtually every kind of education setting. So every learning process, every procedure, every process in educational setting will have tests. So how to anticipate this kind of feeling? So I believe all of us are hoping that kind of tests will not be degrading, not artificial, as well as not anxiety provoking experience. Do you agree with me, guys? I hope you do agree with me. So seeing this kind of specific feelings when we deal with tests, so what is actually the challenges? What is actually the challenges in relation to the test? There are some challenges that we can see in facing kinds of tests. The first, can a test be positive. Yeah, that will be the first challenge. And then can test build someone's or person confidence? Can test build confidence? Can a task also become learning experience? So these are some challenges that we need to face in designing a task later. So by considering this kind of specific challenges later on, a task need not to be degrading, artificial, and anxiety-provoking experience. So by providing this kind of challenges, we can provide a task which are not degrading, artificial, and also not anxiety-provoking experiences. So what is the answer then for this kind of specific challenge? What do you think? Anyone? Probably you are thinking yourself and mentioning some specific answer at home, but that's very nice of you. So the answer for this kind of specific challenge is always with the answer of yes, a big yes. Can test be positive? Yes. Can test build person's confidence? Yes. Can a task become learning experience? Yes. But how to do it? Other challenges of designing a task are whether how to make tests authentic and how to make the task intrinsically motivating. How to make the test motivating. Yeah, those are the challenges that we will face during the process of designing kinds of tests. So that from all those overview, it is very clearly that stated that we need to understand thoroughly about the concept of testing, assessment, and teaching. And are they the same or are they different? And how to deal with this, and how to deal with each of them in educational setting. So let's move first to the idea of testing. So what is actually testing? How is it important? How to deal with testing? So let's take a look at the idea of testing. The definition of testing. A test is a method of measuring a person's ability, knowledge, or performance in a given domain. So what is meant by method? What is actually meant by method? Method is an instrument or a set of technique. Method is an instrument or a set of technique, procedure, or items Yeah, that's why testing is also in form of an instrument. Testing is about a method. A method is an instrument. Yeah, so it is an instrument, a set of technique, instrument including a set of technique and also procedures. And the other one is or item. So to qualify as a set, to qualify as a task, this method must be explicitly structured. Yeah. So to qualify as a task, this specific method must be explicitly, must be explicit and also structured. So we cannot make like a random test without any structured plan in designing the test. So let's take a look at some other points related to testing. Testing must measure, yeah? Testing must measure general ability or focus on specific competencies or objectives. So the purpose of giving a test or the purpose of a testing should measure general ability or focus on specific tests. It can be about general ability. It can be also focus on specific competencies or objective. So if an instrument does not specify a form of reporting measurement as a means for offering the test taker some kind of result, then that technique used in the test cannot appropriately be defined as a test. So when you cannot report the measurement, so it cannot appropriately be defined as a test. Is it clear? So the next idea is that a test measures individuals' ability, knowledge, or performance. But before that, we need to clearly understand about who will the test taker be. We need to understand, we need to know about the test taker previous experience and background. And is the test, we need to check if the test appropriate with the test taker ability, or and how will the test taker later interpret the score of the test. So these are some factors should be dealt with in order later to be able to measure individuals' ability, knowledge, and also the performance. Then the test measures performance. Test can also measure performance, but the result imply the test taker's ability. The result implies the test taker ability, or in the field of linguistics, the competence. That's why it is sometimes called that when you try to measure the performance, later the result will be about clarifying the competence. In terms of language tasks, a task measures the ability to perform language for all skills, reading, writing, speaking, listening, but also to measure the knowledge about the language. In performing the language, we deal with skills. In measuring the knowledge about the language, we deal with vocabularies, grammatical rules, or sometimes we deal with identifying rhetorical features in written discourse. A task should also measure a given topic. Say, for example, in terms of proficient tasks, the task involves sampling of skills that domain is overall proficiency in a language. the general competence in all skill of a language. So in the the proficiency test should deal with sampling of skill that domain in overall proficiency in the language. So then a well-constructed test is an instrument that provides an accurate measurement. Yeah, tests usually provide accurate measure of the task taker ability within a particular domain. That's why it is stated previously that tests should measure a given domain. Yeah, when it is talking about the proficiency in the language, so it talks about the general competence in all skills of the language. Hopefully, guys, you can clearly understand about there's some specific points related to a test. So then let's come to a small conclusion after understanding what testing is and what kind of specific ideas related to testing. Is testing is testing the same as assessment, or testing is different is testing different from assessment? Is it the same or different? What do you think, guys?